Here are today's top news and why they matter. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has declared that the country will not go back to war, a government spokesman said on Wednesday. The country's security forces have detained the petroleum minister and senior army officials who are allies of President Kiir's rival, First Vice President Riek Machar. The arrests follow intense fighting in recent weeks in the strategic northern town of Nasir between the national forces and the White Army Militia, a loosely organized group mostly comprising armed Nuer, Machar's ethnic group. In the government's first comment since the arrests, Information Minister Michael McCoy accused forces loyal to Machar of collaborating with the White Army and attacking a military garrison near Nasir town on Tuesday. Why does this story matter? The White Army fought alongside Machar's forces in the 2013-2018 civil war that pitted them against predominantly ethnic Dinka troops loyal to President Salva Kiir. South Sudan's civil war, which erupted just 2 years after the country gained independence from Sudan, killed an estimated 400,000 people, drove 2.5 million people from their homes, and left almost half the nation's 11 million citizens struggling to find enough food. A peace deal struck in 2018 has mostly avoided outright fighting between Kiir and Machar's forces, though localized violence routinely flares up. Moving on, Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara and his Ghanaian counterpart John Dramani Mahama have called on Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger to rejoin the regional bloc ECOWAS. The military juntas who took over in Bamako, Ouagadougou and Niamey after coups between 2020 and 2023 left the West African bloc at the end of January. They have since allied themselves in a confederation called the Alliance of Sahel States, AES. Mahama, who was on a visit to Abidjan, offered to be a bridge between ECOWAS and AES to keep the three countries in the sub-region and help them transition to constitutional democracy. Why does this story matter? Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger accused ECOWAS of not providing enough support in their fight against jihadist violence and of being subservient to France. AES countries have cut ties with Paris, their former colonial power, and they have since created a new passport, a joint army, and development programs to fight against poverty and corruption. And elsewhere, 33 years after world leaders adopted a historic blueprint to achieve gender equality, a new United Nations report says women's and girls' rights are under attack, and gender discrimination remains deeply embedded in economies and societies. The report, released on Thursday by the UN agency focused on women's rights and gender equality, found that nearly 1/4 of governments worldwide reported a backlash to women's rights last year. Despite some progress, including on girls' education and access to family planning, UN Women said a woman or girl is killed every 10 minutes by a partner or family member, and that cases of conflict-related sexual violence have increased by 50% since 2022. On the positive side though, the report said some 88% of countries have passed laws to combat violence against women, and most countries have banned workplace discrimination. Plus, European Union leaders will hold emergency talks in Brussels on Thursday, gathering as the Trump administration upends traditional alliances and retracts wartime backing of Ukraine. Thursday's summit brings all 27 EU leaders together for the first time since the explosive meeting between President Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky last week, with US military intelligence and aid sharing since suspended. And that's all we had time for today. For an in-depth analysis of the week's biggest stories, subscribe to our YouTube page, DWAfrica. My name is Boba Jallo.